Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. So today we are going to be reviewing the Colourpop Xtra Celestial collection. This includes 3 new palettes that come with 2 new eyeshadow formulas, and there's also a new lip gloss formula as well. So we have a lot to get through in today's video. I got so many tags, DMs, comments if I was going to be reviewing and playing with this collection. So we're finally here. I think you guys really know my style of makeup because I was really excited for this collection. Like, this is just so up my alley. It was giving me a lot of K-beauty vibes as well. So with that being said, if you guys want to know my thoughts on this new collection from Colourpop, then please continue watching. So today's review is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to spice it up a little bit with the layout. I'm actually going to start off with my 3 looks just because I did talk through them and it kind of was more like a first impressions tutorial. Usually I just show you the look. I'm not really talking about the formula, I'm just giving you inspo, but I thought this time I would sort of talk through the eye look that I'm doing and the shades that I'm playing with and my first impressions off the bat. So we're gonna do it like that, and then I'll come back at the end and give you my final thoughts. I'll give you product info and all that kind of stuff. So let me know which way you prefer. Do you prefer my old way where I review it and then you see the 3 looks for inspiration, or do you like me talking through the looks, giving you my first impressions and then giving you my final thoughts at the end? Let me know. This is just me spicing things up. I mean, I've been reviewing Colourpop for 5 years now and I've been doing the same layout for those 5 years, so I thought it'd be nice to sort of just switch it up a little, and maybe I'll do a mix of both. So just let me know your thoughts down below. But with that being said, let's hop into the 3 looks. I did 1 look with each palette. Alright, so for the first palette we're going to be using Clearly in Love, and I'm going to first start off with this shade down here called Hey You. So this is just going to be the base color for our eye look, so I'm just going to sweep that all over my lid first, getting that blended out. This is a really nice cool toned mauvey purple, and I think this look does end up turning quite cool tone, which I do actually kind of like for this look. It's been a while since I've done something cooler toned. And then of course just taking that same shade all over my lower lash line to also get that base going. Now onto the shade right next to it called Snack, and just focusing this at the outer corners of my eyes, just stamping it on. I'm also going to take that into the inner third as well. So this shade Snack, it is one of those mattes that have little glitters in it, and typically with other shadows like this from Colourpop, these little glitters do fly away, but I noticed that in these palettes the glitters stay. Like when I'm packing it on, you can see the little glitters. I think from your point of view you can't see it, but in person you can see those glitters. So that's definitely a difference that I noticed in this specific formula. I know there's a bunch of formulas in these palettes, but that is something to note, that these glitters, you will definitely see them. So this one has like little pink little sparkles in it, but it's a really nice mid-tone sort of brown. And then of course just taking a little bit of that, I'm just going to focus on my lower lash line. Now going into the dark brown here called Sheesh. Using a smaller blending brush, I'm going to focus this a little bit lower on my lids, also just again at the outer corner and then at the inner corner here, just so we can really get that definition on our eyes. And then of course once again just working a little bit of that onto my lower lash line, only at the outer corner here. And now I just feel like we have a really soft contour, and I just go back in with my other brushes just to further blend. And we actually already have a little bit of sparkle on our eyes, which is nice. Now going into this shade up here called Guess What. I think this is a new formula. I'm just taking that on my finger first and I'm just gonna tap that onto my eyes. So this one I feel like might be the newer formula because it feels a bit different. It's not a matte, but it's not exactly a metallic either. I'm just using a brush to get that blended out. I feel like, I don't know, it feels like very chalky, like very powdery, but you can see it does have a lot of little glitters in there. So is it like a hybrid between a metallic and a matte shadow? Because it does give you dimension on the eyes just at that highlight point here. So this is just going to be the first layer. It has a lot of little specks of glitters in there. I'm also just going to take that into my inner corners just to work this as the base. I wouldn't consider this to be a satin shadow either. Like, it's a hybrid of metallic, satin, and matte. It's just interesting. It's a very, very dry formula though. Like, it's very, very powdery, but you just get that really soft glimmer, which is actually quite nice, but it does feel quite dry to the touch. Now I'm going into this shade here called My Number. So this one feels more like a metallic, but it's definitely a duochrome. This one has more chunkier glitters, you could say, and it's definitely more high shine. So I'm just like tapping my eyes like this at the center to really get those pink glitters, but with these long nails it's so hard to like get precise with this. So I think this is called the Satin Pearl finish, which is new, bouncy in texture with a gorgeous satin like sheen color. And then I think that first shade I used was more of a sheer sparkle, which is a see-through finish with a dreamy sparkle pinpoints. So to just top off the eye look, I'm taking the Urban Decay Heavy Metal Glitter in the shade Grind. I think this complements this kind of color story really well. So I'm just going to take a little bit and just sort of poke that into my eye at the center above my crease. So that way when I'm looking up, you're going to see a little bit of chunkier glitters really just sparkling through, and I think it's just so pretty. So here we have the final look for the Clearly in Love palette. I absolutely love how this look turned out. I didn't wear lashes for this look because I know some of you guys want to see looks without lashes, and I thought this look was just so like dainty and pretty that it didn't need lashes, and I really just wanted to see those little micro glitters sparkle through. I definitely think the metallics are the standout, so I really love how this look turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. And then onto the second palette, which is Coast is Clear. As you can see, I am missing two shades. So the two shades I'm missing is Ahoy and Vibe Check. And it did shatter, it arrived completely shattered, and it did kind of go into some of the other shadows. So if it does look a little bit different, I did try my best to scrape off all of that extra product that went into these other shadows. So just keep that in mind that maybe some of my metallic shades might not be the true color just because it came broken. What can you do? So it's a bummer that I'm missing two shades because my friend told me she really likes this palette, so it's a shame that I'm missing two, but I still got a really nice look out of it. So I'm going in with this shade here in the corner. This one is called For Sure, and I'm just going to focus this mainly on my lid, just using windshield wiping motions just to get that on. And this is a matte shadow with some silver little reflex, and again in these palettes you can really see those little silver sparkles. So it's not going to be like a complete matte, but I mean the shadow itself isn't matte, it just has some little sparkles in there, which is really pretty. So I'm just going to put this all over my lid, just using windshield wiping motions. I'm also going to take that onto my lower lash line as well, just sweeping that all over. Then going into this shade here called Set On You. I'm using a really small skinny blending brush, and I'm just going to go around the edges to get that blended out. This would be more of a transitional shadow. It's a little bit lighter and it's a bit more mauvey. So I'm just going to use this to just blend out the outer edges. Again, this is not a complete matte. It does have little sparkles in there as well. Then going into the darker shadow called Swept Up, I'm going to focus this mainly on my lid. So we have a really nice gradient smoky eye. So again, just using windshield wiping motions. And I think the reason why my palette shattered is because with this formula in these new palettes, the sparkles are really sparkly. There's a lot of little micro glitters. So I think the eyeshadow is not pressed as hard. So that's why maybe the shadows are a little bit more fragile, and that's why it did come broken. Keep that in mind that these are not tightly pressed, so you will get a little bit of fallout here and there, but I think with this collection it's actually really pretty that you get fallout, because you just get these little sparkles on your cheeks. Again, also gonna take that onto my lower lash line, but I'm just going to keep it a little bit more precise and closer to my waterline. So now I'm taking a bit of that center shade called In Focus. So this one did get a bit of silver shadow in it, so it might not look exactly the same, but I'm just going to use my ring finger and just dab that at the center of my eyes and then all over my lids after that. Because where the center of the eye is, it catches the light first, so that is where you want it to go. And I'm pretty much just putting this all over my lid, like we are just having a glitter party. I like to go in with a brush to be a bit more precise, because again, with these nails, I can't do anything. I really can't. So I'm also gonna run that on my lower lash line as well. Then going into this shade up here called Good to Go using my pinky finger. This is also just gonna go at the center just for more extra dimension. Taking a clean finger, blending that out. And I'm also just going to take that into my inner corners as well. And here is the look using the Coast is Clear palette. I think the best way to really highlight these little micro glitters is putting it against a really dark shadow on a smoky eye. So I think this look, even though from far away you don't really see those sparkles, but once up close, all those little sparkles just glimmer. It's so pretty, and I just love how this overall look turned out. I didn't mean for it to go so vampy and dark, so I hope you guys enjoyed this look using the Coast is Clear palette. And finally onto the last palette. This one is Clear the Air, and this is the warmer tone palette. So I'm going to start off with this shade here called On the Real, and this is just going to be the base color for our eye look. It actually looks a lot more pale on the eyes than it does in the pan. In the pan it does look like a really good like peachy transition shadow, but on the eyes it actually goes quite pale. Well, just on me, like you don't see that true peach color, like it's actually very, very light. But again, it is that matte with those little sparkles in there, so we will see that sprinkled throughout the base. So of course, just taking that onto my lower lash line as well. Then going into this shade here called Swing By. I'm going to focus this at the outer corners of my eyes just to slowly start deepening out this outer region. And this shade I absolutely love. It's such a good warm tone, like chocolate brown. It's like such a true chocolate brown, like it's so warm. Just taking that same shade again onto my lower lash line here. Now going into the darkest brown called Over. I'm just going to focus this at the lash line at my outer corner, and then slowly using windshield wiping motions blending that upwards. I'm going to take a little bit of that onto the lower lash, just connecting the shadows here. Now I'm going into this shade called Breathe In. I'm going to just slightly sweep that around the outer edge just so we can get a little bit more coral action going on our eye look, just because the transition was quite light. And Breathe In does have little specks of glitter, so once again we will see that sprinkled through ever so slightly. So just using circular motions, going around the edges like this. So I am just taking a little bit of my eye primer. This one is from Ace Beauty. It's quite similar to the P. Louise one. So I'm actually just going to take a little bit, like I'm just going to dab it out a little. And I'm going to use this at the inner third of my eye, just because I wanted the inner third just to be a little bit lighter and like a little bit brighter, so that way the shadow can really peep through. Like almost doing a soft cut crease here. Like I'm not gonna harshly cut the crease out, but just softly, you know. You can see this region of the eye is so much brighter, because I will take this shade here called Let's Talk, and this is going right on top of that base. So in the pan it looks like a creamy white with gold reflex, And it definitely translates like that on the eyes, but I would say it has more like coral and pink reflex in there. It's super, super pretty. I think this look would have to be my favorite out of the three, and something I definitely would wear. And then also just taking that into the inner third. Then I'm taking the center shade here called BU, which is the marble shade. Taking that on my ring finger, I'm just gonna dab that at the center of my eyes. Again, it's just gonna add a little bit more dimension, and it's a little bit darker, so blends in with the mattes a little bit easier. Now I'm going into this shade called In Demand. This is really, really putty, like maybe more putty than a Super Shock, I don't know, but it's super putty. I'm taking it on a really thin brush, and I'm just gonna drag that along above my crease like this, because I just want the sparkle to just enhance in this area. And then lastly, just taking one of the Urban Decay Heavy Metal Glitters. This is in the shade Midnight Cowboy. And similar to the first look, I'm just gonna dab that above my crease just so we can get more like scattered glitters to just really highlight our eye. I really wish they would have came out in this collection, something like the Heavy Metal Glitters, because that would just bring so much to their lineup. And it would just make so much sense with this collection as well. And here we have the final look using the Clear the Air palette. Like I mentioned, that this is my favorite look out of the three. That is just natural because I really do love warm tones. So of course I was gonna like this look the best, but I really love the tones and I love the different textures and all the little dimensions. It's so up my alley. So I really love how this look turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. Okay, so those were my three looks, one look with each palette. Be sure to let me know your favorite down below in the comments. But let's hop into the product info and my thoughts on the collection, what I would recommend, and just my final thoughts now that I have played with everything at least once. So like you saw, there are three eyeshadow palettes. These are $12 US each. If you wanted to buy all three, it's $32 US. And it comes in a clear packaging similar to their cheek palettes or their quad. This is really giving me K-beauty vibes because a lot of K-beauty brands do package their eyeshadow palettes in this format, and also they do a lot of 9pan as well. So it definitely was trying to give me those K-beauty vibes, especially with these new formulas where it has those little micro sparkles in there. And as you can see from three looks, I really enjoyed everything. I think everything did perform well from the shades that I did use. But I think these palettes are really pretty. I think you get a lot of dimension in them, and I mentioned in my three looks where I said that these will have a lot of fallout, and I personally don't think that this is going to be for everyone, especially if you are so used to like a Western style makeup where everything is very off the bat, very pigmented, like metallic. I feel like this does give me like a mixture of K-beauty and Western makeup. Like I wouldn't say it's exactly like K-beauty because it does have the pigment. I will say the glitters do feel a little bit more choky. Am I saying that right? But I would say I really do like the different finishes in the palette. I think these are definitely up my alley now that I would say in the past year I really grown to love glitter and just sparkle. That's just my thing. So there are no like pressed glitters in here, so I think if you don't want to use pressed glitter and that's just like a no for you, then this would be a really good palette to dive into to get those little sparkles. I really enjoyed the looks. I think I'm going to be using this palette the most, Clear the Air. I just love how this look turned out in all these little glitters. Even though I did go in with a further liquid glitter, I think this is still very pretty. So all in all, you do get a wide variety of different finishes, but all of them are going to be quite sparkly. None of them are very like, you know, full on foiled metallic. That's not the vibe here. The vibe here is very like sheer, sparkly little glitters, little micro glitters, like Urban Decay Moondust kind of vibes, which I personally really do like. And I think the mattes they did add into the palettes really complement those shimmers to really shine through, and I really enjoyed these. I hope they will come out with more of these in different colorways. And then next up in the collection we have a new lip formula. So this is the So Glassy lip gloss. These are $8 each, and there are 6 different shades, and if you wanted to purchase the whole set you can get it for $45. And these glosses, honestly, there wasn't like too much of a description on them. Pretty much if I could describe them, they feel, I would say, like the ultra glossy lips in that sense, where they're not so sticky, but they have a pretty good shine and they're very lightweight. But with these, they have a lot of like dimensional glitters in them. So some of them are a little bit more dimensional than others, some of them are a little bit more muted and opaque, but you could say just overall there is a lot of multi-chrome-ness going on. I wouldn't say it's too much of a new formula. Like some of the ultra glossy lips had a lot of dimension in them as well, so I don't know, they kind of give me a similar vibe. Like the closest lip gloss formula I could describe it to would be probably the ultra glossy lips, but yeah, as you can see, they are very high shine, very juicy, and these are actually really pretty. You can kind of see there is a difference between all the shades, even though with these kind of glosses, some of them will look similar. And if you wanted to get these to shine the most and to really see those ultra dimensional glitters, I would say put it on a darker lip, so a black or a plum. You'll really see those shine through, but it is very pretty even for daily wear. I think there are some very unique shades in here, and I will note that for all of these swatches I am wearing the Kaja Beauty Love Swipe liquid lipstick in the shade Swipe Right, just for the base. For a gloss they are a little bit different, you know, and I think you can definitely get something more unique out of this. So with the entire collection it is $79 if you wanted to get everything as a whole, and of course you can use my affiliate code for 10% off. It is just my name, Judy, at checkout. But overall this collection I really enjoyed it. I definitely would recommend, of course, just depending on the color preference you do prefer. It's just nice to see that Colourpop is able to do something a little bit different, even though they release so many new things all the time. I think definitely this one is a little bit different from the rest. You will experience something different. You will get different colors, different finishes from what we typically see from them. So overall I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a beautiful collection. And I also forgot to mention that this whole collection is vegan, so if that is important to you, this whole collection is 100% vegan, which is amazing. So with that being said, guys, that is my thoughts on the entire collection. I hope you guys found this review helpful. Let me know what you think of the style and the layout, and also just let me know your thoughts on the collection down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching as always. I love you so much, and I'll go ahead and see you guys in my next video. Bye!